They are already fighting. Not hypothetically, not in a simulation. Right now. Since February 2026, American and Israeli strikes have hit over 10,000 targets inside Iran. Iranian missiles have struck U.S. military installations across the Middle East. The Strait of Hormuz, the choke point through which 1/5 of the world's oil passes, has been directly threatened. This is not a war game. So when the world's most powerful military goes up against Iran's missiles, drones, underground fortresses, and asymmetric warfare machine, who actually has the advantage? The answer is more complicated than you think. On paper, this comparison looks almost absurd. The United States fields approximately 1.4 million active-duty personnel, operates over 13,000 aircraft, maintains 11 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, and commands a global network of hundreds of military bases across every continent. Iran has roughly 650,000 active personnel, approximately 500 aircraft, many dating to purchases made before the 1979 revolution, and a navy built primarily around the Persian Gulf. But here is where the raw numbers stop telling the full story. The United States is a global power designed to project force anywhere on Earth. Iran is a regional power designed to make any attack on it catastrophically painful. Those are two completely different missions, and in this conflict, both matter. The financial gap is staggering. The United States spends approximately $920 billion per year on defense. Iran's officially reported budget sits at around $7.4 billion, though when you include the IRGC's off-budget activities, proxy financing, and the nuclear program, independent estimates range between $15 and $25 billion. That is still a ratio of roughly 40-1 in America's favor. But this is where the balance begins to change. Iran has spent those constrained resources with extraordinary focus, not trying to match the US across every domain, but developing specific capabilities designed to impose maximum cost on a superior adversary. Missiles, drones, asymmetric tactics, underground facilities. Each dollar spent where it hurts the most. In the air, America's advantage is overwhelming. The United States operates F-22 Raptors, F-35 Lightning IIs, B-2 Spirit stealth bombers capable of striking from the continental United States, and demonstrated exactly that capability during the June 2025 strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. Those aircraft can penetrate air defenses that would stop anything Iran can put in the sky. Iran's air force, by contrast, is in serious condition. Israeli strikes in October 2024 reportedly destroyed most of Iran's advanced S-300 surface-to-air batteries. A senior analyst at the International Crisis Group concluded after the June 2025 war that Iran's air defenses are no match for US and Israeli air power. But Iran has one response to this problem that no air force can simply bomb away. Then there is the weapon Iran has spent decades developing, and it is the core of everything. Iran possesses the largest and most diverse ballistic missile arsenal in the Middle East, confirmed by a Pentagon assessment. Its inventory includes the Khorramshahr series, with ranges exceeding 2,000 kilometers, the Fatah hypersonic missile, and the Fatah II, which Iran claims can maneuver to evade interception. More critically, before Operation Epic Fury began, Iran had constructed what state television called missile megacities, vast underground tunnel complexes beneath granite mountains, housing hundreds of ballistic missiles on mobile launchers. A Congressional Research Service report from March 2026 confirmed that large parts of the IRGC's underground missile networks have remained intact despite sustained US and Israeli strikes. Mobile launchers mean no fixed target. Dispersed tunnels mean no single bomb can destroy them. Iran's missiles are not just weapons. They are a survivable second strike capability that forces any attacker to contend with the possibility of retaliation, no matter how successful the initial strike. Iran's drone program has reshaped modern warfare. The Shahed 136, the kamikaze drone that Iran supplied to Russia and deployed extensively, demonstrated that a $20,000 drone can destroy a $2 million piece of equipment. That arithmetic alone is strategically significant. Iran operates a range of suicide drones, reconnaissance UAVs, and long-range strike drones. The United States, meanwhile, fields some of the world's most advanced military drones: the MQ-9 Reaper, the RQ-4 Global Hawk, and classified systems. But the gap in drone technology between the two sides is far narrower than the gap in conventional air power. And one Iranian drone took down a US RQ-4A Global Hawk worth over $200 million over the Strait of Hormuz in 2019. The price point of asymmetric warfare runs in Iran's favor. This is the section that keeps American admirals awake at night. The United States Navy is the most powerful in history. Aircraft carriers, nuclear submarines, guided missile destroyers. No navy on Earth can match it in open ocean. But the Strait of Hormuz is not open ocean. At its narrowest point, the strait is just 33 kilometers wide. Shipping lanes run close to Iran's coastline, and Iran has deployed this geography with precision. The IRGC Navy operates approximately 230 fast attack craft, small, fast, missile-armed boats designed for swarm tactics in confined waters. Iran's anti-ship cruise missiles, including the Noor and Khalij Fars, are deployed along its 2,440-kilometer Persian Gulf coastline, hidden behind terrain and able to strike before a target can respond. Iran also maintains a significant sea mine capability. In a conflict scenario, Iranian mines seeded through the strait could halt commercial shipping, triggering an oil shock felt from Tokyo to Frankfurt before a single major warship was involved. Can Iran permanently close the strait? No. US minesweepers, naval escorts, and air cover would work to reopen it. But a temporary disruption, or even the credible threat of one, would send oil prices surging globally. That is economic leverage the size of Iran's military budget cannot explain. On the ground, a US land invasion of Iran is essentially a war planner's nightmare. Iran's territory spans 1.65 million square kilometers. Its interior is ringed by mountain ranges that force any invading force into narrow corridors that favor defenders. The IRGC has spent decades preparing to fight exactly this kind of war, not a conventional battle in the open, but an insurgency in depth, a war of attrition, a conflict designed to drag on until the political cost to the attacker becomes unbearable. Nobody in the US military is proposing a land invasion of Iran, but this geography constrains options even for a purely air campaign, because Iran can absorb strikes and keep its military functioning from underground. America's dominance in this domain is real and significant. The United States operates a global satellite constellation for surveillance, communications, and precision targeting. Its signals intelligence infrastructure, developed over decades, can monitor Iranian military communications, track mobile launchers, and direct strikes with a precision no other military can match. Iran has invested in cyber capabilities and conducted notable intrusions against US infrastructure targets. But assessed honestly, the cyber and intelligence gap strongly favors Washington. United States. Unmatched air power, stealth, precision, satellite coverage, logistics, carrier strike groups, and defense industrial capacity that can sustain a long campaign indefinitely. Iran. Underground missile survivability, geographic choke point control, asymmetric cost imposition, the Strait of Hormuz leverage, and the demonstrated ability to sustain military capability even under sustained bombardment. Here is the honest answer. The United States has an overwhelming advantage in any conventional military confrontation. Better aircraft, better satellites, better command and control, more money, more weapons, more logistics. In the air and at sea in open water, America wins. But this conflict was never going to be decided purely by conventional military logic. Iran's strategy was never to defeat the United States militarily. It was to make the cost of conflict high enough in oil prices, in regional instability, in American casualties, that Washington would eventually choose negotiation over escalation. That is why, despite the most powerful air force in history striking over 10,000 targets inside Iran since February 2026, negotiations are still happening. And large parts of Iran's underground missile network are still intact.
Technological superiority wins battles, but winning a war requires achieving political objectives. And in that dimension, the one that ultimately decides what all the firepower is actually for, the outcome remains unresolved.